Democratic Alliance leader John Steenhuisen says that the party will consider entering into a coalition with the ANC, but only if President Ramaphosa is still the president after the 2024 elections. And this has been described by former party leader Mmusi Maimane as an admission of defeat and acknowledgement that they can't grow, particularly in light of their losses in the last by-elections. For more on this, we're joined by DA leader John Steenhuisen. A very good morning to you. Tell us more about this statement. How do you intend on working with Ramaphosa? Why only of him and not David Mabuza?
Good morning, Desiree, and thank you very much for the opportunity to be with you and the viewers today. First of all, it is an absolute distortion that I said that we'd be willing to enter into a coalition with the ANC. I made a full recording of that interview, and it is being released today. And when that release is made, you will see very obviously that we had said that our primary focus is to bring the ANC below 50% so that we can create a new rational center in South African politics to be able to form a bulwark against the radical socialism and policies that we believe will put South Africa onto the fast track of a place like Zimbabwe or Venezuela. So it is about the reformers coming together from whatever parties they may be in to form that rational center to be able to drive the reform agenda that South Africa needs to get onto a new trajectory of hope and prosperity. Those reformers sit in all parties, including within the governing party. But if we don't come together and form that important bulwark, and the radical economic transformation and the radical left get into the driving seat in South Africa, it's going to pose a very significant danger to the economic, social viability of South Africa going forward.
Well, people have started to weigh in nonetheless. Your former leader, Mmusi Maimane, saying this is a sign that you're not confident of a win in 2024. Your response to this?
Well, I don't think that that's true. And I think that if anybody takes one of Mr. Maimane's speeches over the course of the last term of his leadership, they would see that he said exactly the same thing. And I quote, "Maimane extended a hand of friendship to the ANC leaders, speaking against the state of their party, adding that the DA was open to working with them in the future in a new realigned political landscape." There's absolutely no difference between what I have said, that there's got to be a realignment of politics, and there's got to be a coming together of the rational center, or we're going to sacrifice it to the hardcore socialism that's going to cause the same misery and suffering we've seen in Venezuela. So I think there may be a slight case of amnesia that has set in there, but it is certainly nothing different that has been said by both Mr. Maimane and the previous leader, Mrs. Zille, in talking about the realignment of South African politics.
But we know that the Democratic Alliance is a strong research-based organization. Are you feeling confident? What are you willing to do or not do to make sure that you remain the main opposition in Parliament, even in 2024?
Well, we've got to continue to do what we've always done, which is hold government accountable and to work as hard as we can to bring the ANC below 50%. We can't break the logjam in politics so long as the ANC has a majority, and we need to make sure that we're able to make sure that they lose their electoral majority. That can then start the phase of a realignment in South African politics to keep the radical socialists out of power. That is the main objective of bringing the rational center together to form a solid, stable center in South African politics, so that our country doesn't go down the road of populist policies, as we've seen in Zimbabwe, Venezuela, Cuba, and so many other countries in the world, where the end route has been, through those policies, misery, suffering, hunger, starvation, and lack of economic opportunity. We have to get South Africa onto a new trajectory of growth, prosperity, employment, and opportunity. We cannot do that in the current scenario, as has been very, very clear over the last 3 years of the Ramaphosa presidency. It's only going to happen if we break the logjam in politics and we form a new majority at the center, where all parties and reformers who believe in the fundamentals, the rule of law, constitutionalism, a social market economy, less state intervention, are able to come together and to drive that reform agenda. And that's exactly the point I made in the Sunday Times interview. And there are reformers in all parties that we need to bring together now to be able to put South Africa first, to put South Africans first, so we can get the country working.
Who specifically are these radical socialists?
Well, I think it's all of those who are going down the road of the radical economic transformation. We've seen nationalization, people who talk about expropriation without compensation, who believe in more power for the state and less power for the people, who don't believe people should have fundamental rights in South Africa, like the right to own private property, who believe that all property in the country should vest in the state, people who want to go out and nationalize industries, people who follow the same path and policies as Hugo Chavez. And I think it's very obvious that there is a significant faction within the current governing ANC who believe in that. There are parties to the left of the ANC who believe in that. And it is even more imperative then that the rational centre comes together to ensure that those policies are never brought to bear in South Africa, and to ensure that we can avoid the slide towards a failed state.
Let's thank you for talking to us this morning.
Thank you, Desiree. It was great to be with you.
The leader of the Democratic Alliance, John Steenhuisen there.